Hey guys, my name is Ruben Phoenix and this is Drawing the Human Figure from Your Mind, Advanced Concepts, Lesson 1. So in these lessons, what I want to do is, what we want to do is just build on top of what we understood from all the lessons that we went through in the structure of man and in that gesture drawing process. And really, I guess we want to fine-tune our thinking to a point where we want to have, let's say, an ability to put the figures down, our ideas down of drawing the figure much more rapidly, right? Because the payoff is in when we're doing stuff like storyboarding or putting our comic books together, animations, character design, whatever you have it. We have to think about that whole composition. So where we went through that in that system of that gesture drawing process, we knew that we have to use at least some kind of a system, right? So if we could get a system in place and which allowed us to, let's say, draw virtually thousands of figures, we could detach from this process that we're going to go through now and then reach a point where we can just create the figure just by putting the ideas down. Let's say we start out with the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and we can just develop it from any point, right? So this is like when you've drawn the figure thousands of times here, right? So like, let's say for our purpose, what we're really interested in is something that we can use for ourselves that will allow us to think much more freely, I guess, right? So to do this, we are going to use again artistic thinking here, right? So we're going to come up with some kind of a theory here, and we're going to try to prove this theory to be correct and see how is it going to really help us. So one of the things is let's say when we're drawing the figure, right? Let's say we start out with some kind of a flow line over here. Right, so this is our flow line. Okay, so one of the things is like, okay, look, let's say if this I create a box over here. Let's say this is like our sheet of paper, or let's say we're drawing inside for a storyboard or something, right? And we have to fit the figure inside this box here, right? And we've already created the flow line, so we have to fit the figure in between these lines here, right? And we could be pretty expressive on how we put these ideas down, because so here I'm just talking through the whole thing here. In the next lesson we're actually going to do it without too much talking, but we need to understand this. Okay, so if I do the flow line here, I've already determined the height of the figure, right? So here right now I'm stopping and talking to you through this. So like in this technique, when I put this down, right, I know that the crotch area is already going to be here, right? And this means that we could put down the legs for the figure just like this, right? Because if you divide this in half, right, but if you divide it in 4 sections, you knew that actually right in the middle here, the knees are going to be at this point here, right, above this line here, and then you'll get into the area of the foot here. So I'm keeping these drawings pretty small here, right? So I'm just going to work through in all these lessons in thumbnail sketches, because the concept here that we want to, the theory, the concept that we're proving here is that we're trying to come up with a system where we can think rapidly and put these ideas down in composition, because we can blow this up, right, and then develop this further into an actual drawing. Okay, so once you have this down, right, and the other thing is, okay, so if you know that if you divide this in half, you already figured out where the chest line is going to be, right? This is where the nipples is, and then the chest will be a little bit here in the bottom, right? If this is where the line for the nipple is, and halfway down here is going to be where the navel is. So we've solved the entire mystery here for the bottom of the figure, right? Because when you know that the navel is here, and when we went through that process of looking at the 8-head figure, when we were looking at the muscles, we knew about those ratios, right? We knew that well, right where that navel is, 1/3 down, right, it's going to be your pelvis area. So here we pretty much just also figured out kind of like the width here, right? This is going to be the love handles going in this direction, and here all we have to do is really just put the muscles down for the leg over here. Just jot them out as simple ideas here, right? I don't care about details here, and if I'm making some line here or something's a little long here, that's not the purpose here. It's just trying to think this through, getting these ideas down fairly quickly. Okay, so here I know that the knee is going to be here. Kind of like this. And here I've, in this very simplistic idea here, we figured out, okay, this is what the bottom of the figure is going to look like automatically. Right, so this was very simple to do because we took very extreme shortcuts because we know what the ratios are, and we know that this area here, there's a ratio here for the 8-head figure, right? Because if you get into the 9 heads and all those other proportions, you're going to be aware of these areas here, because with that flow line you can create a 9-head figure just by doing the same thing, as long as you're aware of these ratios, that it does go here and goes down. This is the crotch area here. Okay, so what happens above here, right? So we know that, look, if we started thinking, like if we drew, when we drew the stuff down here, this was very quick, and this really has to do with because there's not much thinking involved, right? We know what the crotch is, we know that over here in that middle we could figure out the navel and figure everything out, but over here we might have to do some guesswork, right? But we can get away from that guesswork, saying that, well, when I divide this in half over here, right, I just need to figure out this half here and come down over here, and I've got my collarbone, right? So I'm just going to put a line over here for now, because when you're drawing this fast, you're not going to stop and think like this anyways, right? And you know that the where the bone is for the joint for these the scapula and the collarbone is, it's not going to be over here, right? Because we knew about those ratios too, that where these guys are, right, the nipples are going to be just about over here, right? It's understood, meaning that it's going to go about this way, right? So if you let's say put the lines down over here, let's okay, so this guy is a little bit on the angle here, right? So we'll like know that, right, I need to put this up above over here a little bit too. So where this navel is, we know that, right, the bicep is going to just about end over here. So here we're just approximating. You don't have to measure to pinpoint, right? Okay, so once you do this, we know that, right, this is where the lower arm is going to be, where this mark is. This is where the wrist ends, and then we could let's say just sketch out fairly quickly the hand here. We'll have to get into details. Okay, so over here it's going to be that same thing, that, right, the hand is going to be up above a little bit because he's tilted, right? So once you have this down, right, so remember in those formulas that we were doing where we were saying that, right, in the way the this is where those formulas are so crucial, right? Because now we don't have to think so much about it. We knew that if the head, if this is the size of the head, right, this is a given, it's going to fit here correctly, and we're going to have the neck here, and if we made like these 3 different marks, or the 1, 2, 3, we knew that this is where the collarbone was going to be, and then it would have a dip over here, and then you would get the deltoid, and above from here where that nipple mark is, right, from that ratio you would get the trapezius muscles, and it would go about its business over here, right? So we can just think it in that way. We don't have to put the whole angle of the collarbone down, especially in these very quick thumbnail sketches. And then we can just put the deltoid over here and go about our business. And over here, this is that important ratio that we had talked about, that once you have the lines established for the chest muscles, you knew that this is going to go up over here, right? And this point here where that shoulder turns is pretty much going to be above the nipple, right? And this is stuff you're going to catch on yourself when you look at this, that these are like these shortcuts, these secret understandings that you are going to develop and be able to put these ideas down fairly quickly yourself. Okay, so here I'm just going to quickly put like just these in these thumbnail ideas, that this is what I was thinking about. And over here, I know that when that dorsi muscle comes, it's going to be near where that nipple is. Where that navel is. It's going to be just about in this area over here, and I could get those lines here, depending on if you are making really large dorsi muscles from the back over here. So for this, we're just putting these ideas down. So let's just say, yeah, we got it. It's like this. And then over here, we also know about the ab muscles, that it's to the right of the nipple, right? Where this line is to the right of the nipple, you're going to get those areas over here, and then you're going to get to the ab muscles over here. And just going to be 3 over here. Right? I'm not going to put all those details down. Just get those simple ideas down over here. Okay. So in this, just talking it through, right, we were able to solve some crucial problems here in thinking much more freely about putting our figures down. Right? We have a very simple system in place, and we already understand all the muscles of how the figure is supposed to be constructed. All we need really is these ratios and how to fit it in. We can now create the figure in any height that we want inside this box, and we didn't actually make any mistakes here, right? So now all we have to do is really just come back and clean this up and develop this further. Okay, so in the next lesson, well, what we're going to do is we'll now stop talking and now just do a couple of drawings here and see that is what we're saying, this theory, because here I would say that we've proved that theory, that yes, it's possible to do this, right, as long as the mind understands some simple ratios of putting the figure down, because it already has the background information. It knows what the figure looks like, right? It's all hidden inside that idea of symbolism. So here it's going to come to the rescue anyways. We just need these very simple ratios to be aware of. That helps us put these ideas down fairly quickly. So let's just go over some of these ratios real quick here. Okay, so one of the things is that where this line for that nipple is, right? We know that below this is going to be the ending. A little bit below this is going to be ending for the deltoid, where this angle hits, and above this is going to be the area where this guy starts turning, right? Meaning that you're going to get this point where the deltoid turns, right? And this is going to be approximate, but it helps you put these ideas down. And the other thing is that when we know where the navel is, we know that in that ratio, if you divide it in 3 different parts here, you could quickly put down the love handles and figure the entire construction out much more rapidly, because you know that when you divide this part in half, the knees are going to be above this line anyways, right? And over here where that navel is above this is where the very slightly above this is where the elbow is on the back here, right? And this gives you the understanding of how long the arm is supposed to be, and then you can put the forearms down. Okay, and here I'm just cleaning just a little bit up of that thumbnail here. So here in that process where we put it down, put those few lines down, I can come up here and just put down some specific lines here, and then I can blow this up on a copy machine. So here I could virtually put like hundreds of figures together and make pretty complicated compositions putting my ideas down and blow them up, right? So it really doesn't matter how you do this. You could have done this bigger. So here's, since I'm keeping these drawings small, so we can demonstrate this this theory and practice that we're trying to come up with for ourselves. So how to get these ideas down much more quicker. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks.